So, you think you know the Metamorphosis? The story of Gregor Samsa, the guy who famously wakes up as a giant insect? But what if I told you we've been focused on the wrong monster this whole time? I mean, this has to be one of the most iconic opening lines in all of literature, right? Kafka just throws you right in. No warm up, no explanation. One morning, a man is a bug. Boom. The impossible has happened before you've even turned the page. But here's the thing. What if Gregor turning into an insect isn't actually the main event? What if that shocking, bizarre physical change is really just the spark, the catalyst, for a much slower and frankly much more sinister transformation happening around him? That's right. The real story, the one we should be watching, is about the family. It's what you could call an inverted journey. It's a narrative where the protagonist is slowly erased, while the people around him, they're the ones who truly transform. And you can see the difference so clearly when you put them side by side. Gregor's change is physical, it's sudden, it happens overnight, and after that, it's static. He's stuck. But the family's change? Oh, that's psychological. It's gradual, it creeps up on you, it's dynamic, and that's where the real horror of the story is hiding. So, let's just nail down this idea of an inverted journey. It's a story where the main character gets smaller and smaller until they're basically deleted, while the supporting characters don't just survive, they actually get stronger, they thrive. They literally feed on the protagonist's destruction. It's a chilling concept, so let's watch it play out. All right, let's get into the evidence, starting with the head of the household. The shift in Gregor's family from this state of passive, helpless dependency to one of active, ruthless dominance, well, it's genuinely startling. Before the change, what's Mr. Samsa like? He's a wash-up, right? A failure, totally dependent on his son, just slumped in his chair all day. But the second Gregor can no longer work, it's like a switch flips. His son's tragedy is a perverse kind of liberation for him. Suddenly he's on his feet, reasserting this terrifying dominance that he had lost long ago. And nothing shows this change better than the uniform he starts wearing. Seriously, this bank messenger's uniform isn't just clothing. You gotta think of it as his own shell, his own social carapace. While Gregor gets a monstrous insect shell that isolates him, his father gets a manufactured shell of social approval that gives him power. It's an incredible, dark parallel. And this newfound power, it turns violent. The apple scene is just chilling. This is where his father weaponizes the domestic. He takes a piece of fruit, something that should mean nourishment, and turns it into a projectile. The wound it leaves in Gregor's back, just festering there, is a physical symbol of how rotten their family bond has become. You know, this disturbing pattern continues with the person you'd least expect, his sister, Great. And her transformation is maybe the most devastating of all. She starts out as his only advocate, the only one showing him a shred of kindness. But just watch. Watch how that compassion slowly, sickeningly, curdles into something cold and pragmatic. So all of these slow, creeping changes in the family, they're all building to a climax, a breaking point. But it's not some big physical fight. No, the final straw is a moment of art, and one single soul-crushing sentence. The trigger is Gret playing her violin. Just think about that. An act of creating beauty, something so deeply human, is what becomes the catalyst for the family making its most inhuman decision. The irony is just brutal. And Gregor, hearing this music from his dark room, feels something he hasn't felt in a long, long time. A real, profound connection. He's drawn to it, longing for this unknown nourishment. This is perhaps the most human he has been since he changed. And tragically, that is exactly what dooms him. And just look at this contrast. The family's boarders, these supposedly normal people they're trying to impress, are completely bored by the music. Meanwhile, Gregor, the monster, is moved to his very core. It really forces you to ask, who's the real vermin in this room? Who still has a human soul? And that's when it comes, the verdict. And who delivers it? Great. His sister, his former caretaker. With that single sentence, her transformation from a compassionate sibling into a cold executioner is complete. And it all hinges on one tiny word, it. In the original German, das ist. This is so much more than grammar. It's a weapon.
It's the final linguistic act that erases Gregor's identity completely. He's not a he anymore. He's an it, a thing to be thrown away. So the verdict is in. The family gets what it wants. But their survival, their brand new future, comes at an almost unthinkable cost. And this might be the most heartbreaking part of the whole story. Gregor hears the verdict from his sister, and what does he do? He agrees. In a final, twisted act of love, he accepts his own erasure. He decides he must disappear for their sake. And so he does. He crawls back into his room and quietly fades away. One human consciousness, with all its thoughts and memories and love, just erased. And the family's reaction when they find him? Is it grief? Sadness? No. It's immediate, profound relief. The problem has been solved, the burden has been lifted, and right there, you know their moral transformation is absolute. What follows is a scene of rebirth. They leave that dark, oppressive apartment and head out into the sunny countryside, suddenly hopeful. They're unburdened, and they realize their new hope, their new asset, is Gret, who has bloomed into a young woman ready for marriage. And this is the savage, unforgettable core of the story. The family's happy ending, their own metamorphosis into a functional, hopeful unit, it doesn't just happen in spite of Gregor's loss. It happens because of it. Their new life is fertilized by his death. So we're left with this really chilling question. Kafka's story stops being a fantasy about a man turning into a bug and becomes a dark mirror. It asks us what we're capable of when our own comfort and survival are threatened. When push comes to shove, is compassion the first thing we're willing to discard?